Okay, so just a quick recap of the different properties of the sine and the cosine function. Again, the period is going to be 360 degrees, the amplitude is 1, and the equation of the axis is y equals 0. Our domain, theta, is an element of the set of real numbers, and the range, f of theta, is an element of the set of real numbers, again, such that f of theta is greater than or equal to -1 and less than or equal to +1. Again, the sine and the cosine function are congruent sinusoidal curves. Okay? What that means, again, the cosine curve and the sine curve are the same curve. It's just that the cosine curve has basically been translated 90 degrees to the left. Okay, so there's a horizontal shift that's occurred, but other than that, they follow the same pattern. Okay, so in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to sketch a sinusoidal graph with the following properties. So sinusoidal just refers to that pattern that the sine and the cosine function take, okay? So there's going to be that same shape, but we want to have the following properties. So we want the graph to have a period of 10 units, an amplitude of 3 units, the equation of the axes to be at -2, and we're going to sketch 2 cycles of this graph. So the first thing I'm going to do on this graph is set up my axes. Okay, I know that my axis is going to be at -2, so I'm just going to have my horizontal x-axis running somewhere through like so. Okay, and now I can start to draw my curve. Okay, so I'm going to start at my axes. So my axis is y equals -2, so I'm going to have a point here. Okay, again, it's sinusoidal, so I'm going to follow that pattern like so, which means in 10 units, I should end up back at my original y values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in 10 units, I should end up back at this value. Okay, what that means is the halfway point, I should cross back over my axis line. Okay, so remember in that sinusoidal curve for sine and cosine, you start by going up, and then you go back down through your axis, and then back up to the axis. Okay, my maximum point is going to lie in between these two dots here, and my amplitude is 3, so it's going to be 3 values above. So my maximum, my peak, is going to occur right here at an x value of 2.5 and a y value of 1. My next point is going to be my minimum point, which is going to occur at an x value of 7.5, and again it's going to be at a y value of -5. Okay. These 5 points represent one cycle of my graph. Okay, I'm going to repeat this pattern for my next cycle. Okay. Okay, so now that we've drawn our dots, again, we're just going to draw a curve through these points as best as possible. Okay, and there we have a graph with a period of 10 units, an amplitude of 3 units, the equation of the axis is at -2, and we've shown 2 cycles of this graph. Okay, in our last example, same idea, we're going to sketch a sinusoidal graph, again using the following properties. So a period of 8, an amplitude of 4, the equation of the axis is going to be at y equals 1, and we're going to show 3 cycles of this curve. Okay, so again, first step, we're going to set up our axes. So I'm going to set my y-axis up here, and then draw my x-axis as well. And again, hopefully you have a ruler. Given my axis is at 1, that's where I'm going to start. So my first point is at 1. The period of my function is 8, so I'm going to go 8 units along. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in 8 units, I should end up back here. Okay, 4 units in the middle. Again, that's where my curve is going to cross back down through the axes. The amplitude of my graph is 4, so in between my first 2 points at a value of x equals 2 and y equals 5, I'm going to have my maximum point. My minimum point is going to occur at 6, x equals 6, and an amplitude of 4 will take me to y equals -3. Okay? So again, these 5 points represent one cycle of my graph. So I'm going to repeat this pattern for 2 additional cycles. Okay, so now that we've shown all our points, our last step is to draw a nice smooth curve through the points to give us our sinusoidal graph. Okay, and that is a graph. It has a period of 8 units, the amplitude is 4 units, the axis is at y equals 1, and this graph goes for 3 cycles.